the whole thing.
Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call our meeting to order. Could we all please stand for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Boyce, can you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Van Horn.
Here.
Mr. Sergio.
Present, sir.
Mr. Jess.
Here.
Mr. Carlson. Here. Mrs. Sherwin is absent. Mrs. Kraska.
Here.
Mrs. Dale.
Here.
Mr. Kimmick.
Here.
Mr. Garcia.
Here.
Mrs. Shaw.
Here.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Boyce. And Mr. Sherwin.
Hi, sorry.
No, great job. All right. Okay, public notice. Adequate notice of this meeting in compliance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975 entitled the Open Public Meetings Act has been provided by action of the Board of Education at its regular meeting on January 7, 2025. Notices to the Courier News and the Star Ledger circulated in the school district, and a posted notice to this effect on the Board of Education website and building bulletin board, Administrative Headquarters, 51 West Cliff Street, Somerville, New Jersey. And at this time, I'd like to open the floor to public comment. Public comment is invited on agenda items, non-agenda items, or any matter related to the school district. When permitted, public participation shall be governed by the rules stated within the agenda. Remember, please, I won't read all of the rules, but I would ask that everybody please make sure that they state their name and their address. And also remember to keep our public comments to a maximum of 3 minutes in duration. Okay, at this time, if there are any members of the public who would like to make comment.
My name is Sharon Gordick. I live at 548 Carlson Street in Brunswick. I'm also the Somerville Education Association president. So I wanted to thank you to the board so much for having Ron Lalonde set up a meeting between union representatives and the administration to address any ongoing concerns regarding curriculum and instruction in response to the findings from the curriculum audit. The SEA appreciates so much that the board sees the importance of hearing all perspectives in person, emphasizing open and non-defensive dialogue that is focused on student outcomes. The meeting underscores certainly a disconnect between the teacher experiences and the administrative messaging. And while some progress was acknowledged, like increased data use and structured scheduling and improved testing scores in some area, there still remains significant concern about the lack of actionable curriculum support, trust, and transparency. The SEA, on behalf of its membership, expressed continued concerns for genuine collaboration, concrete plans, along with a desire to move from a reactive approach to one that is more proactive and solution focused. In addition, as the audit priorities were intended to be addressed by the 24-25 school year, or the end of the 24-25 school year, there's a shared concern of the response leaning more toward demonstrating compliance rather than delivering a clear and actionable plan that meaningfully addresses the core instructional and curricular needs outlined in the audit. At this meeting, JR did identify some next steps in following up with ESL department to ensure proper testing and placement, providing instructional support and guidance for lab classes, and distributing the literacy committee plan to all stakeholders. I was part of the lab meeting that happened today as well. I lost my place. I apologize. While these are important and necessary steps, it should be noted that these actions ideally would have been better placed at the beginning of the school year, with earlier implementation could have better supported student outcomes and teacher helped to prevent the instructional goals and gaps created because of their lack of being addressed sooner. The meeting ended with the appreciation expressed for the open and honest conversation, and that while there may be differing views, these discussions were essential to moving the district forward collaboratively. And we again so much appreciate the setup of that meeting. So we look forward to hearing Ron's report on the meeting, but wanted the Board of Ed to hear the SEA's takeaways as we are not meeting again until November formally, and that JR will also be reporting on the audit tonight. So I wanted to have you hear our end of things as well. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close public comment? That was Mr. Carlson, a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, public comment is now closed. I do want to just thank Ms. Gornick for, taking the podium and just making public comment. I also want to thank everybody that was involved in the meeting that you're referencing. I think we mentioned last meeting that we had our negotiation teams meet more with the idea that we're not negotiating as much as we're doing climate checks and just having discussions around that. So I think these ongoing discussions are important. The board, has made this a goal in terms of just the audit itself and just having updates on the audit and getting information, I think, from everybody in terms of stakeholders, in terms of how that's progressing. So the commitment is there for that. I know as we move forward, there'll be reports that are generated and discussions that will take place around that, and we'll move forward from there. But I want to thank everybody for participating. Those are hard meetings to I think, go forward with, and I do applaud everybody for their involvement with that. So thank you for that. All right. Moving on, approval of the minutes. Resolved that the Board of Education approve the minutes of the Board of Education meeting as follows: September 9th, regular meeting, and September 9th, 2025 executive session. Is there a second there? I need a first, actually.
Move it.
Mr. Jess, is there a second? Second. Mr. Carlson, any discussion? Okay, we're just going to do this as a consensus vote, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Boyce, you got that?
So I got it.
Okay. All right, and we're very excited to have the approval of student board representatives for tonight. We have a new board rep who's joining us. Do you want to just say a couple words? Sure. That'd be great, just as a prelude to this.
Thank you for, is this on?
No.
No? Is this on?
Yes.
Oh, that's on. So thank you for having me here tonight to introduce our student board reps. So first, I'd like to welcome for the very first time Romanjit Kaur, who is serving as our Somerville junior representative for the 25-26 school year. Romanjit met with the high school administration during the selection process, and we were highly impressed with her performance at that meeting. This includes her enthusiasm and just her willingness to be an active member in our school community. So welcome to the board, Romanjit. And we are happy to welcome back Taya Pappas. Taya is serving year 2 of her term this year as our Branchburg senior representative. Taya is, well, now the veteran student board representative, right? And I have no doubt that she will continue to represent our school and district with the same excellence and dedication she always has. Welcome back, Taya.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. Thank you, Mr. Foley. So with that, we'd like to do a motion to approve that item number 1 be moved upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools to approve the appointment of the following students at Somerville High School to serve as the student representatives to the Board of Education for the 25-26 school year. Mr. Carlson, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Van Horn is a second. Is there any discussion by board members?
Thank you for dedicating your time. We're really excited to have you, so.
We do look forward to the reports every time. We will make a commitment to ensure that you're out of here before presentations. We know that you're very busy, that you have lots of other things that you have going on, but I do applaud your leadership. It's something, again, in terms of just the public-facing nature of this. You have to come and report many times to a room full of people, to the board. It requires you to do a lot of extra work, and we recognize that. So we look forward to your reports. Mr. Sergio will repeat a lot of what you say later, but we look forward to your report the most. And thank Mr. Sergio always for his efforts. So again, can we do a vote for that?
Sure.
A roll for that, please.
Mrs. Van Horn,
Yes.
Mr. Sergio,
Yes, and welcome.
Mr. Jess,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson,
Yes.
Mrs. Sherwin,
Yes.
Mrs. Kraska.
Yes.
Mrs. Dale,
Yes.
Mr. Kimmett.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations. All right. Okay, just on the board president's report, I won't go into a lot of things extensively, but I do want to point out a couple things on the agenda. I want to extend congratulations to Catherine Sullivan. This is an item on the agenda. I can't remember what item it is, but she is retiring from the district, from Somerville High School, where she has served for over 24 years. And again, I think anytime somebody retires, it's our opportunity to just make sure that the public understands how much we appreciate the efforts of all the employees of the district. I think it's really important when somebody has committed that much time to the students of Somerville, to the community of Somerville, that we recognize that is quite a commitment and quite a tenure in the district. So congratulations to her and to the next adventures that she has, hopefully. I also want to point out that there's a number of agenda items on tonight's agenda related to the referendum. So you'll note that there's things in terms of just approvals via the architect for certain steps that have to take place for the projects as they're laid out. People can get information about the referendum on the website, but you'll see tonight there's some information about the high school auditorium and starting that process and renovation. And I want to thank Mr. Boyce and his team, because there's a lot that's happening behind the scenes right now to keep all of this kind of on track. Through the Communications Committee, we will be scheduling a meeting. That's a large committee where we invite members of the public to come in, and that's where we're going to give updates, I think, to the group that met prior to the referendum being passed, and also have opportunities just really for ongoing updates. So we look forward to that, and again, I just want people to kind of recognize that that's within the agenda tonight, and those things are moving forward as planned. And with that, just happy October, and I hope this school year, I know, is picking up steam very, very quickly. So continued thank you to everybody for their efforts and all the work that they're doing in terms of just providing daily instruction to the students and all the work that's taking place in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Lots of great things happening in the Ville. So, and with that, I will turn it over to the superintendent.
As you can see on the agenda, my report is split, and I do want to respect our students and their time. So first of all, congratulations, welcome back. We really look forward to your report each and every meeting. So I'm going to turn things over to you. As you know, I have quite a few things to discuss, but I don't want to hold you guys up, so you guys go first.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having us. I'm excited to be back. We have a couple things going on as it's a little busy in the beginning of the school year, but we have our yearbooks going on sale now. Today's the last day that they're $85, and then tomorrow they move up to $100. So if you want to get those in, I would definitely do it tonight. And then we also have our senior ads that come with the yearbooks. Our senior ads are also on sale, so you can just purchase those from, we have a website called Jostens, that's also on our school website, and the last day to place that is January 30th, so that you have more time with. We have our SAT and PSATs tomorrow, so the juniors will be taking their PSATs, and the seniors have the sophomores and juniors, and the seniors have the option to take the SAT in school as well. Information should have been sent out to them, so they would receive an email. So if not, just look out for that email for tomorrow. We have picture retakes for underclassmen coming up on October 28th during their study hall. And if seniors need anything or they need an original photo, you can also reach out to Normandy Studios. Our late bus, so we have our late bus every year for students who live in Branchburg and are staying after school for clubs, sports, etc. But you must sign up in the office each day prior to 1 p.m. if you want to take the bus. We also have our winter sports registration that just opened up. So if you go onto the school website, you'll see what forms need to be completed in order to participate for that winter season. But speaking upon sports, our fall sports are off to a great start this year. Both boys and girls soccer made it to second round of counties, and they have more of their in-season games coming up as well. Field hockey has their first round of counties tomorrow, so feel free to go watch them. And also make sure to support cross country and girls tennis as their in-season meets and matches are coming to an end. And then finally, we have our football team, which advanced to 6-1 this past Friday, beating North Hunterdon 43-14. So this upcoming Friday, we have our homecoming game, and we also have, I believe it's youth night. So it's a little busy, but definitely feel free to come for that. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is our Students of the Month for September. So Student of the Month, again, just honors students who exemplify good character, exhibit outstanding behavior, and make significant contributions to our school community. So I'd like to congratulate Declan Biles, Grace Carey, Wyatt Fleming, Nariah James, Regan Przbilski, Sophia Rocks, Emily Smith, and Jack Schweitzer. So now I'm going to hand it over to you. I'd like to welcome you again, and I'm super excited to work with you. I'm sure we're all happy for you, and we really appreciate your dedication in and outside of the school.
Thank you. So October 6th to 10th was the Week of Respect. This was a special week that was dedicated to fostering character development, promoting respect, and encouraging social responsibility. Some of the themes that were included were Animal Print for Respect and Blue to Stomp Out Bullying. Moving on to the clubs this month, the Investment Club will be meeting this Thursday, October 16th in room 103 after school. Then the Hiking Club has their first hike this week on Friday. They're headed to Hackle Barney State Park in Long Valley. If anyone is interested, please make sure to visit their classroom through the sign-up. Lastly, the Medical Science Club is meeting on October 27th in room 311 for a Halloween-themed experiment. Additionally, the robotics team is also looking for new members who are interested in engineering, coding, design, teamwork, or even marketing and fundraising. The team is hosting new member orientations with sessions on October 15th and October 27th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. in room 112. The quarterly PTO meeting will be held on October 28th at 6 p.m. in the Somerville High School Media Center. And then starting this school year off strong with the September Staff Members of the Month, congratulations to Mr. Noah and Mr. Eunice. Thank you for all of your dedication and support to our students, athletes, and performers. Oh, sorry. And as the end of October is approaching, the homecoming dance will take place on Saturday, October 25th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. in the high school. Please make sure to bring your student IDs, and information about purchasing tickets will be forthcoming.
Thank you. Before we go into an executive session, just a quick comment, and thank you, Ms. Gornick, for your comments. But, you know, there might be a little difference of opinion in terms of the purpose of the meeting, and that was a direct dialogue between the two parties, and it was to continue going forward. Presenting the contents of the meeting prior to Dr. Berlani's report is premature, in my opinion, as there were still conversations going on as we were listening and learning during that time. So I do believe and look forward to, with my team, to continue those conversations so we can listen. But our understanding of the meeting was that we were going to remain having those conversations so we could learn more. And with Dr. Belani's report not out yet, maybe, you know, it's best that we continue those conversations as we had discussed. But I have some more things to report when we do return from our executive session. Mr. Stern, if you're ready, we'll go into that executive session.
So before we do need to do a motion first, but I want to thank our student reps. This is your opportunity to skedaddle. All right, so thank you for being here tonight, and again, congratulations. You're more than welcome to stay, but I would skedaddle. We also want to, before we go into executive session, we have moved Mr. Sergio's report under the superintendent's report, so why don't we do that report right now? So Mr. Sergio, are you ready to do your activities, athletics and activities report?
Mr. President, I think so.
Can we give him
Can somebody stick a mic in front of his mouth?
Okay,
I
try
can
to
hear me.
speaker.
Yeah, I'm just, can you guys hear me?
We can.
So? We're not muted.
No, we can hear him,
It's
low.
just projecting his voice.
Lou, can you speak again?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Better.
I didn't do anything about it. Okay, all right.
Again.
Outstanding job.
Mr. Vice President, just wanted to welcome Roman G and Matea again for a wonderful report. I'm going to just touch on some smaller details, but first on today's slate of matches, the boys soccer team is hosting the Hornets of Hanover Park, trying to make up some ground in their season, and the girls tennis team is facing off against our crosstown foes, Immaculata at White Oak Park. The Athletics and Activities Committee meeting will be held next week, on the 22nd of October at district headquarters. And just to add on to winter registration, That is now open, as mentioned, and will close on the 19th of November. So if you are interested, please don't delay, because as soon as you blink, we will be reaching the end. So now, last week in Annandale, the Pioneers, Aiden Vesuvio Bush, recorded 3 rushing touchdowns for Somerville as it rolled past North Hunterdon 43-14. James Hampton opened up the scoring with a pick 6 of his own before freshman QB, as I talked about before. I'm really impressed with this kid. Dylan Bohm connected with Dario Lozano for a 20-yard touchdown pass to go up at 29-0 at halftime, which the tone was already set. You know, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Pioneers with such a young squad, but apparently nobody told Matt Bloom and his coaching staff, who just ripped off 4 straight and sits second in points behind Montgomery, who they lost by only 1 score in the Liberty Silver standings. They meet Plainfield this Friday in their last home game before ending the season on the road against Watchung Hills before the playoffs begin. So, you know, knock on wood, if they can pull off at least one of these victories in the last 2 games, they're guaranteed a home spot in the playoffs, at least 1 game. So let's cheer them on. Boys soccer, the Pioneers, they are having a rebuilding year at 4-10, but in the Somerset County tournament, they beat Franklin 3-2 on the foot of Benny Martinez with 2 goals. Sean Murphy also had a goal, and Kevin Brunell and Matthias Gonzalez each added an assist. Now, although Noah Gadd scored the lone goal for the Ville against Bridgewater Raritan in the second round, it unfortunately was not enough. But next up after today, they're on the road against Warren Hills and Saturday against Ridgewood. So girls soccer maintained an 8-4-1 and a 4th place in Scotland Conference record, and winning 3 of the last 5. They did tie the last game Thursday to 0-0. But Kaylee Lauber sits in the top 5 in the state leaderboard with 54 points. And in the Somerset County tournament, the Pioneers also advanced to the second round by defeating Franklin by a mercy rule of 11-0. Catherine Wangren led the way for Somerville, netting 4 goals. There was a tough 1-0 loss in the second round to Hillsborough, but other than that, they are having a great year. The remaining 3 games will be at home with Voorhees Thursday, at Ridgewood Saturday, and October 23rd against Del Val. So the Ville Field Hockey has ripped off 2 of their last 3 by shutting out Franklin and Belvedere last week. Against Franklin, Addison Shealy scored 2 goals, while Brielle Toth managed only 1 goal needed against Belvedere. Charlotte McLaughlin made 4 saves across those 2 shutouts. Tomorrow they begin their Somerset County, as they had mentioned, and against Mount St. Mary's. The marching band, hey, neither rain nor sleet nor snow would stop the 2025 marching band home show. Even with the nor'easter looming, the 44th annual music extravaganza was another success, with 15 bands performing. Now, with the home shows, although the Ville does play, they are not competing. That's part of the U.S. marching band rules. But at North Brunswick Home Show, the band, the pit, the color guard, and drumline have been running away with it all season in their class. October 4th at North Brunswick was no exception, as they won with a score of 87.7 in all categories. Next up on the 18th, the award-winning marching band and color guard will be competing at the Ludwig Musser competition at MetLife once again. And last, robotics. Robotics season will soon be among us, but in reality, it doesn't slow down. It is an all-year affair. On September 27th, 28th, the Gearheads co-hosted the Robocon NJ for the robot driving experience at the mall. Hundreds of guests took controls of real competition robots and learning how these 120-pound monsters are engineered and operated. While they're running its new member orientation program, the team will be competing in an off-season competition this Saturday at North Brunswick High School, where the new Gearheads will see up front the excitement about the competitions, all the logistics that's involved, and just really the Team 102 mentality that exists. They're also going to be preparing for the 2 first LEGO League events this November at the high school, welcoming 24 teams to each of those. With that said, Mr. President, Mr. Vice President, that is my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shardil. Moving on, we're going to have to adjourn to executive session for a moment. We anticipate that this will last about 20 minutes to half an hour. So Mr. Jess, can you bring us
Sure, I'd
into
like-
executive session,
Yes, I'd
please?
like to make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining agreements and attorney-client privilege information. The board will return and no action will be taken following the executive session.
Okay, can I have a second, please? Mr. Carlson, second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we are in executive session at 6:26. So, we are back from executive session. Could I please have a motion to return to?
Move it.
So moved. Second, Mr. Carlson. Any discussion? So all in favor of a return to public session?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we are back in public session at 6:50.
3.
I say 4.
6:54.
6:53. Remember when that clock didn't work?
All right, that being said, we're going to continue with our superintendent's report. So, Superintendent.
Thank you. So there are a few items on our agenda tonight that are mandated. The first one of which is the NJSLA testing data. Really, we've talked about this before, and this is a snapshot of testing results from last year, which are going to be reported by our Director of Curriculum, Mary Kane. So the second one on that is a self-assessment review. This is another mandated look back at some of our practices, and that'll be shared by Dr. McDonald and her team. And then I have a couple of items to share with the community and the board. But first and foremost, I'd like to turn things over to Mary Kane to present our NJSLA testing data. And if you recall, we had an earlier presentation by Mary and her team just regarding data in general, how we look at it, how we utilize it. There are multiple data points that are collected in an appropriate fashion by our team, and I'm going to turn things over now for the one that is mandated by the state.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Mary Kane. I'm the Director of Curriculum here in Somerville Schools. I'm going to provide a brief overview of the results from the NJSLA Student Learning Assessment. NJSLA measures students' progress towards New Jersey's grade level standards. The test is given to students in math and ELA in grades 3 through 9, and in science in grades 5, 8, and 11. So we're going to just start off. This is overall district data in math and ELA. About 900 students took our assessment, the NJSLA, in grades 3 through 9. And you can see here we're looking at the bar graph on the left shows ELA overall scores by percentage of students performing at each level. The graph to the right shows the data for math. The dark purple and the black on their top are meeting and exceeding. So it goes the lightest shade of lavender is did not meet, and it progressively gets darker as students go through to partially meeting expectations, approaching expectations, and then that dark purple is meeting expectations and the black is exceeding. So our students in ELA, 53% are meeting or exceeding, and if we look at math, that's 34% meeting and exceeding. Now we're going to look at comparison data, spring 24 to spring 25 in ELA. And this is the percentage of students meeting and exceeding. If you look at the light peach, that's the data from the spring of 24. The darker orange is our data from spring of 25. There's two indicators here that I just want to point out. The green circle is the state average of meeting and exceeding from the spring of 24, and the black star is the state average of meeting and exceeding from spring of 25. So you can see here in most grade levels, we have made progress in the number of students meeting or exceeding from the 23-24 school year. And in some instances, we're even exceeding the state average. Grade 9, we did take a dip in ELA. As you can see, the state average also dipped. So we did exceed the state average of 49.9% with 51.9% meeting and exceeding. So this is our percentage of the students meeting and exceeding. This is the change from the previous year. So 11.1% in grade 3, more students were meeting and exceeding in spring of 25 than in the previous 24 school year. New Jersey's change was only 1.3% from the spring of 24 to the spring of 25. So you can see we've outpaced the state in the amount of growth we've had in number of students meeting and exceeding. Okay, this is our comparison, similar to the last slide, except this is in math. So again, we're looking at the spring 24 data in the peach and the spring 25 data in the darker orange, keeping in mind that the New Jersey state average of meeting or exceeding for the spring of 24 is that green circle, and the state average of meeting and exceeding for this past spring of 25 is that black star. So you can see here that we've made growth in our math scores from the previous year in grades 3, 4, 5, 6. We took a slight dip. 7 we've improved and even exceeded the state average. Grade 8 we've made really nice growth from last year. Algebra 1 took a slight dip, and so did geometry. Algebra 2 though really skyrocketed and exceeded the state average of meeting and exceeding. Again, here is the percentage of students meeting and exceeding the change from the spring 24 to spring 25. Again, as you can see, we've really outshone the state in several grades here. Math in particular for grade 5, grade 7, grade 8, and algebra 2. Okay, this is our comparison data for science. Again, the peach is the spring of 24, the darker orange is the spring of 25. And we're looking at last year's New Jersey meeting and exceeding state average is the green dot, and the spring of 25 state average of meeting and exceeding is the black star. So you can see our science scores on number of percentage of students who have met or exceeded grade level expectations has grown in grade 5, grade 8, and grade 11. And you can see how we've exceeded the state in both grade 8 and 11. So again, really wonderful growth for Somerville schools. Again, we're outperforming the state as far as growth goes in grades 5, grades 8, and grade 11. So this is our subgroup data for ELA, comparing 23 again to 24. Percentage of students meeting and exceeding in each of the subgroups. You can see in ELA overall, we've had a nice increase in the students meeting and exceeding. In some of the subgroups, we took a little dip, but in other subgroups, such as the current MLs and economically disadvantaged, we improved the number of students meeting or exceeding. In math, again, we had an increase of number of students in meeting and exceeding. Our students who had IEPs kind of maintained their progress. The students with 5 to 4s took a slight dip, but we did improve with the current MLs and economically disadvantaged. This is our comparative scores in subgroup areas for science. District-wide, we had really nice growth in the percentage of students meeting or exceeding. IEPs really had a wonderful growth. 504s, slight dip. Parent MLs were still working to meet their needs with academic vocabulary and expanding their background knowledge. And the economically disadvantaged group had a nice increase as well. So some notable achievements: we did demonstrate significant progress toward closing the achievement gap. The ELA average growth was 7.3% for Somerville versus 0.9% for New Jersey. In math, the average growth was 7.8% for Somerville versus New Jersey being 3.7%. And in science, the average growth for Somerville was 10% versus the 2% growth for New Jersey. So we are outpacing the state of New Jersey with growth. In response to this data, some of the interventions that we have in place at Vanderveer, we have academic coaching this year. The teachers are having science professional development through our BCC. We are using the Universal Literacy Screener for grades K through 5 to identify students' needs in early literacy, phonics, and phonemic awareness, so we can address those issues before they progress. And all teachers will be receiving early literacy development training in grades preschool through grade 5. At the middle school, we have an increased number of intervention lab periods offered for ELA and math. We have a morning writing lab that will be launched in November. And there'll be early literacy training for the teachers in grade 6 as well. There's also intentional planning of scheduling of interdisciplinary co-planning for the social studies and ELA departments and for the math and science departments to help improve content area in practice in co-curricularly. At the high school, we have new lab classes for both math and English, and we have continued the after-school targeted support and also continued the course support during the school day. These new lab classes that we're offering during the school day will provide students with support based on the data, prerequisite skills, pre-teaching, reteaching, whatever the students need. District-wide, we have our data teams in place supporting data analysis and supporting teachers with understanding the data. And we are promoting data-informed decision-making with leading our instruction and professional development to support the teachers in supporting our students. So in thinking of our framework of how we have ongoing data analysis, it's really 3 levels. We have district analysis, school analysis, and classroom analysis. So our curriculum supervisors analyze the overall data. They dive deeper into the specific data to different grade levels, content areas, and various student populations. We share the data with school administrators and teachers in an effort to set expectations of database decision-making and instructional planning. And school administrators, they lead school-level data teams to analyze the overall school data, grade-level data, and specific data to determine instructional next steps. They monitor lesson plans and instructional implementation to inform our database decision-making process. And then lastly, classroom teachers and interventionists. They analyze this data at the student level, including, NJSLA data, but not only that, but benchmark data, diagnostic data, curriculum embedded data, to identify student needs, goal set, and use data to inform instruction. And I just want to share that this is one data point, the NJSLA. Again, our teachers use all sorts of data from iReady to link it to other curriculum embedded formative assessment to inform our instruction moving forward. So we know we've had some really nice growth, and we also have some work to do. So we're going to continue to look forward, analyze the data, respond, and goal set, and continue to look to make progress. So thank you for your time tonight.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, before you take off, are there any board members that have questions? Because I'd like to give everybody a chance to just ask you questions that they have them.
The student subgroup that's labeled 504, it was down in all categories for all of the testing.
Right.
What thoughts or what brainstorming has been given to kind of bolster that group specifically, since that one looks like the one that's dipped in all of them?
So I think that we also have to look at individual populations because that group probably changes based on the needs of the students each year. But we have our meetings with our, with the different departments in the buildings and looking at specific student data and how we can, meet students' needs through special education, through the classroom, through all sorts of things. So it's really just identifying and supporting the teacher and identifying what individual students need and, letting the data lead the instruction. So it is on our radar of, areas we need to grow.
I can hop in on that. Just our 504 population is actually very small, so one student in or one student out can really make a difference in terms of the percentage. You also have to remember that students with 504s often have underlying medical conditions. It's not necessarily a learning issue, and sometimes there's issues with being in school for consecutive times. There's attendance issues just because medically they may or may not be exposed as frequently. So it is the overall population is pretty small. So again, 1 or 2 students doing better or worse will significantly impact that overall percentage rate.
Thank you for the
Thank you for this report. I am curious because at the Somerville Middle School, I noticed that one of the plans was to have a morning writing lab.
Yeah.
Was that determined based upon their written responses on the NJSLA? Like why was that something that was chosen? I'm curious as to, I'm excited about it as an ELA teacher.
So we get subclaim data.
Mm-hmm.
So our subclaim data breaks up the ELA data by, reading informational, reading literature, writing conventions, and so the different writing areas that we look at, writing was an area that we do want to grow in, that we may have performed weaker in than that we'd like to have. So that is a focus in general. Although we did good overall, that was an area for growth for us.
Any other questions?
Yeah.
Ms. Dale?
Thank you for this presentation.
Sure.
I did want to ask, I noticed that the math scores are significantly lower than the language arts scores. And when you went through what the plan is to improve these scores, I was wondering for math specifically, is there anything being done at the end of year to raise the scores there?
So we are continuing to look at, last year we put into place, we did a lot of work with math over the course of last year, from January to June when I came on board. And we were looking at pacing guides and making sure that teachers were attending to the pacing and talking about where are we at. In looking at our NJSLA data, we were noticing that some of the areas, our evidence statement analysis that we get kind of dive deeper in to see how we did by standard level. We could see that there were certain standards that we may teach later in the year, that we had to kind of reorganize our pacing and our scope and sequence. So we did a lot of that work last year, and we're paying really close attention to that this year so we can ensure that what we need to cover is covered in enough time before the state assessment. And then also just, we've had trainings with iReady, and even this past year with the middle school and the high school, getting them into understanding the data and things like that. So we're working specifically, with the scope and sequence and pacing at Vanderveer, and continuing to talk about the data analysis. We meet with the principals, the curriculum department meets with the principals monthly. So at Vanderveer specifically, we look at their iReady My Learning Path data for both ELA and math to see how students are progressing, and we compare that to how they did on the diagnostic. So it's a continual progress monitoring, goal setting, and kind of going back and evaluating what our next steps are to promote that.
Can I just build on the
Sure.
question about math? If I'm interpreting this correctly, the 0% for math in 8th grade of the
Spring
23-24 means that they're like 0% we're meeting and exceeding.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so there's still, like you said, room for growth, but overall, is it your assessment that based off of this snapshot, we're trending upwards?
Correct, yes. So that was the overall takeaway, is that we're moving in the right direction. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time and continual progress over time. So just that cycle of, letting the data inform our instruction, continual progress monitoring on where students are, reevaluating our goals for students, and ensuring that we're taking the next steps to lead them in the right direction towards continual growth is our goal.
I have one question. Do you want to mention, and I appreciate that, I think the growth in my mind needs to be over time. And I think that's important to recognize that and acknowledge that positive growth is what we want.
Yeah.
It's just these things take time as we're kind of working through
Yeah.
instructional changes or adjustments that we have to make. Do you want to make mention of just changes to state testing that are supposed to take place in the spring? Because
Yes.
I'm a little concerned that we're not going to have apples to apples kind of
Correct.
going into next year when we start looking at this again, which is why internal data is going to be really important for us.
Right. I think we talked about this at the last presentation a little bit. So the state has pushed out, there's going to be a field test of a new assessment that's coming out for next spring. For science, it's not going to change. Science is going to remain the same test through Pearson. but the state has pushed out an adaptive test now for math and ELA. We don't have a lot of information. Last I heard was it will adapt for them on grade levels. So if the system is, registering that they're struggling with a question, it's going to give them an easier question at their grade level. It's not going to drop to lower than that. If they're doing really well, it'll give them a more accelerated question at their grade level. So that is the information the state has shared thus far. There isn't a lot of information out right now, but they are field testing it October, November. Our district is field testing at the end of October and into November here, and every student who tested last year is taking the field test this year. We don't receive scores or any information like that. It's more for the state to inform, I think, their decision-making on the types of questions and how they'll format the questions and things like that. But we will be receiving more information. So when we get the data next year, it's still assessing their grade level performance, but it's going to be an adaptive test. So we're not even quite sure how the results, because the state hasn't shared that with us yet, how we can compare. I'm thinking we may be able to compare it to, because we're looking at grade level standards and they're looking at grade level standards. So it may be similar. It may not be apples to apples, to your point. Yeah.
So just good information for the board to
Yeah.
have going forward. Okay. All right, any other questions? All right, Mary, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate the thoroughness of that report.
Thank you. I'm going to turn things over now to Dr. McDonald and her team. The self-assessment review is a mandated report that we do twice a year, and they're going to present to us a little bit about that and a little context to it. So, Dr. McDonald?
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I am Tanya McDonald. I'm the Director of Special Services, and one of the many hats I wear is I'm also the district's anti-bullying coordinator. And with me tonight, I have three amazing women who, in addition to the many roles that they play, are also the anti-bullying specialists for each of their buildings. So I have Ms. Ashley Joshi, who is our high school representative. We have Dr. Helena Strochinsky, who is our middle school representative. And I know, surprise, you're getting moved. And then we have Ms. Lauren Robson, who is representing Vanderveer, and she has actually stepped in because our actual specialist is on maternity leave, so she is stepping up this year and helping us out. So as Mr. Labisco said, that every year, as mandated by the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights, which was signed into a law back in 2011 by Governor Christie, we must look at our practices and procedures in terms of how we implement bullying programming. So each year we have to report to the board after doing an assessment and looking at multiple domains, how are we doing as a district? And part of what we do is we need to reflect and then make changes to our programmatic initiatives to make sure that we're building appropriate skills within our population so that incidents of bullying are reduced, and eventually, hopefully, the ultimate goal is that we don't have them. So basically the core elements that we assess ourselves on are related to programming, training, personnel, which means our roles and our responsibilities, as well as our reporting requirements. Are we following timelines? Are our reports thorough and accurate? Are we getting them into the required chain of command appropriately? When there are things that are being questioned, do we come before the board? Do we follow appropriate due process procedures? So basically, when we do the self-assessment, you rate yourself whether you're not compliant, or if you're exceeding compliance levels. So basically, a good score would be a 75. That basically means that you're doing everything the way you're supposed to be doing it. So as you can see this year, based on our self-assessment, which again is based on data from last year, Vanderveer came at a 93.4%, the middle school came at a 98%, and Somerville High School came in at a 97%. So why is this important? It's actually very nice that you're doing an academic programming tonight, because we really do feel that a lot of the work that's done from the mental health realm is really what builds that foundation that students are ready and available to learn. When we don't have social and emotional learning programming, and when students are not able to regulate, it sets them up for a host of negative outcomes. It can have academic impact. Obviously, we see issues with behavior and discipline. Students don't know how to interact appropriately in terms of conflict resolution, or just working through, we talk about conflicts versus mean moments. And then engagement and dropout. We know that kids that don't regulate or present with mental health issues are at very high risk for a host of different mental health issues, as well as dropping out of high school. So mental health, we just mentioned, the social relationships, extremely important for success later in life. We need to make sure that we are able to engage in healthy and appropriate relationships. So basically the key takeaway in terms of why this type of programming and why us assessing what we're doing in terms of meeting the needs of our students is really that we are trying to give the students the skills that they need so that they can be well-rounded, high-functioning adults, both academically, socially, emotionally, psychologically, and behaviorally. So as the curriculum department often presents, we talk a lot about tiers of intervention. This is no different from when we talk about the mental health services within our district. We do things, typically we call them tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. From our standpoint, we often refer to it as primary, secondary, and tertiary intervention. And the ultimate goal, what I want you to keep in mind, is that so much of it is preventative. The more we can build skills both in the intra and interpersonal domain for our students, the more likely they are to successfully navigate a lot of the obstacles that they encounter along their journey through our schools. So I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful ladies, and they're going to talk a little bit about the different approaches we have at each of the different levels.
So there are a number of effective practices that can be done across all the developmental levels. So we have a number of consistent things that we do across the entire district, as you can see here. So the very first and foremost to me, especially with prevention, is that we do both staff and student training on recognizing both HIB as well as mental health concerns, reporting those things, and also responding to those things. Even if you might end up reporting it to somewhere else, still being able to, in the moment, make a healthy choice, whether you're a student, or be able to respond to a student, especially in a mental health crisis, in a way that is most helpful to that student and to the outcome of the situation. We do the climate surveys, which might be changing a little bit this year, which I'm excited about. But we've been doing those pre and post for many, many years now, so we can assess what's actually going on in the school. They are, reported by our students and let us know like a true picture of what's really going on. And then we take those results to our school safety and climate teams, which meet regularly throughout the year and also include parent representation. So that's another really big piece that we do district-wide across all the schools. We all have Student of the Month programs to reward that positive behavior that we were talking about before, as well as kind of create that positive peer influence that we're looking for. We follow the New Jersey state mandated weeks, so the Week of Respect, the School Violence Awareness Week, Red Ribbon Week, and then there's also additional spirit weeks we do throughout the year at all 3 schools. I always hear from Vanderbilt parents the most that it's like, wait, it's a spirit week. Wait, you need a what? You need a this? Yes, but the kids love it. And even all the way through the high school, the students love it. And it's a great way to build positive climate and again, be more of a prevention before issues occur. We have our Heritage and Awareness Month celebrations. Again, hopefully if you're watching like the middle school broadcasts or you're seeing the things that come home from Vanderveer and the high school, you see the chance that everyone gets to celebrate each other and really build that respect so that if there is a difficult situation, we hope that they're able to handle it in the best way possible. We do service learning projects. We participate in the Day of Service in January, Martin Luther King Day, but then there's also service projects across all the school levels all year. And we try as hard as we can in many different kind of creative ways to involve both our law enforcement and our programming and in just our everyday school community, and then other types of community involvement, whether it's getting, we have, actually right now I think there's a Lions Peace poster competition that we're doing at the middle school. So bringing in the Lions, we bring in historical, there's a lot of things in town that can contribute to our students' learning. And again, building that sense of history, building that sense of community. So we try to tap into community groups and community resources to build those connections and help our students really have that strong foundation. So we also do school-wide programming that is specific to our schools and our students' developmental level. I like things in order, so I'm going to sit back for a second and have Lauren jump on in.
So at Vanderveer, one of our main things is our positive behavioral interventions and supports. We call this PBIS. It's really reinforcing those positive choices that students are making, as well as that foundational school-wide language. So last week was the Week of Respect. We had assemblies across the grade levels where we talked about the differences between a mean moment, a conflict, and bullying. So all of our students have that common language when it comes to discussing some issues they're having with peers and what they can say to an adult if they themselves can't decide whether it's a mean moment, a conflict, or bullying, like someone did something or said something that hurt my feelings, and going to an adult to say that so that we can help them kind of walk through that. So we really try and emphasize some of that common language so that all the students kind of are aware of what they're discussing and just the differences between the three.
So at the middle school, we try to keep that as consistent as possible, using those human skills, using that common language. We do use the second step social emotional learning program, which really stresses those human skills and is really able to be integrated across every subject area. So that's something that Vanderveer does as well, and we continue at the middle school. And the positive behavior support programming we have at the middle school as well. But then we kind of seek out ways to really deepen our students' understanding of those skills, as well as apply them, really be able to use them. So we do some more immersive activities like the Lead You workshops, where they're really hands-on, interacting with each other. A lot of it, it's really intensive for the day. And then our 8th grade does the challenge day. Again, a way to really, truly immerse the students with each other and building those human skills and using them in the moment with real life situations.
Okay, so for the high school, we have to do things just a little bit differently to make sure that we're not super corny with our high schoolers. We want them to want to participate in things like that. So we try to find, different ways to kind of get them engaged. The one thing that I'll just pull out for the high school for today is mental health first aid. So mental health first aid is it's a program that focuses on mental health. It's an evidence-based course that I'm actually a certified instructor in, and I work alongside Dr. Dana Morocco, who is the school psychologist at the MAPS program. And a few times a year, we pull staff members together and we do trainings with them. And the focus here really is to get them to understand mental health challenges, substance use challenges, and to get them to know how to walk step by step through a crisis situation, so that when they're approached with a situation or if they notice a situation, they kind of know what to do in real time, and they also know how to help the students to mental health professionals in the building so that we can provide them ongoing support and then hopefully get them connected with outside resources as well.
So our tier 2 is our small group intervention. At all 3 schools, we have targeted counseling groups. So at all 3 schools, students are identified either through teachers, staff, parent referred. As they get older into middle school and high school, they can also be self-referred or self-selected for these groups. And the topics are all developmentally appropriate. So at all 3 schools, they do discuss social skills, executive functioning, emotional regulation. As they start getting older, they become more targeted. So it'll be about mental health, identity, grief, loss, kind of whatever the student body is experiencing at that time.
Okay, so tier 3, these are our most intensive and individualized mental health services. These are for our students, who are experiencing ongoing or chronic, just kind of situations, whether it's emotional or behavioral or mental health challenges or even crisis situations. So this looks pretty similar across all 3 schools. These would be our risk assessments, our safety planning, crisis interventions, our one-on-one counseling sessions, our behavior intervention plans, and then all of those wraparound supports that we provide just to make sure that the students are getting whatever they need inside of school and outside of school as well.
If you notice, we do have a star next to the risk assessment and crisis counseling, because I just wanted to take a moment to emphasize the intensity of some of the work that our mental health professionals do. I did pull a little bit of data for you from last year in terms of the number of screenings, at-risk screenings, which means harm to self or harm to others. At Vanderveer, there were 99 screenings. At SMS, there were 32. And at Somerville High School, there were 74. So a total of 204 psychiatric screenings that were done by these ladies, in addition to some of our other mental health team members. The number of PES referrals, which means that they deemed it to be significant enough that there's a potential for hospitalization or needed wraparound services within community supports. We had 10 PES referrals at Vanderveer, 15 at Somerville Middle School, and 15 at Somerville High School. And for those of you that don't, PES stands for Psychiatric Emergency Screening Services. This is where we send students that we feel are in a psychiatric crisis and need immediate intensive support. Out of those referrals, the 40 referrals, 15 of our students wound up hospitalized. So we really do work very hard from the preventative aspect, but as we know, there is a major mental health crisis happening in our country. We are not immune to that, but we are very blessed, and we want to thank you all for always being so supportive of the mental health programming here in district, and a huge thank you to these women who are boots on the ground and work with this every single day and really do make a difference. Thank you.
Thank
Okay, thank you for that report. Any comments or questions from board members?
Yes, sorry. We're ready to run here. Go for it.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. For the school safety and climate teams that involve parents, how many parents are involved in that? I think that's great that there's parent involvement. I just wanted to better understand how that's made up.
So it is mandated by the state law, so we have, it's an administrator, it's myself as the anti-bullying specialist, we have one parent representative, and then you have to have at least one teacher representative. And at the middle school, because we wanted the exploratory and the core, we have 2 teachers representing.
Very good. And then my other question.
Sorry, can I piggyback off of that, because that was my question as well. How is that one parent chosen? That would be above my pay.
The parents are actually chosen via each school. Each school has their own team, and so sometimes it's based on parent interest. It's based on people that are already affiliated and work and are known in the school and that have knowledge of and working relationship with that school. So it is a parent that currently has a student in that building, in each building.
And then my other question is, and the premise of my question might be wrong, but my understanding is that there's been some kind of effort to kind of limit student cell phone use in classrooms, either by having them put their cell phones away and stuff. How has that contributed towards improving the climate in terms of bullying and everything that this assessment covers, if at all?
Yeah, no, I think that's a wait and see. We've always tried to discourage, and different schools had different rules. This is our first year we're really launching that no cell phone policy. I think preliminarily we're seeing that students are more focused, that they're more in tune, and interestingly enough, we thought there might be a lot of pushback, but most of the students actually are cooperating nicely. So I think that we will see more evidence of that as the year goes on and we look back at this year, as opposed to, because now we have it much more formally implemented, and the teachers are doing a really good job of being more consistent across the board with their expectations regarding the cell phones. So I do believe, I think personally and professionally, that access to that type of technology and the social media during the day definitely is a distractor, and it does stir up a lot of that social conflict. So sometimes less is more. So we will see next year. I guess we'll pull that into this presentation.
I have a couple questions, but I know that you stated that you're pretty excited about the climate survey because we're going to be utilizing the Rutgers survey this year, right? That will be different. And I just am curious if we're noticing, right? Because so much of the discussion around COVID and the difficulties students had coming back and integrating with one another, and are we starting to notice more positive feedback from the students that we're receiving less, conflict between, or I don't even know how to phrase what I'm trying to say. Are we seeing an improvement in the the climate surveys from the students regarding how they're feeling at school from when we're coming out of COVID to where we currently are? And then I also have a couple other questions, but maybe if you can just address that.
Yeah, we can absolutely digest that one first. So we are really excited to move to the Rutgers survey because it's going to look at 3 different stakeholder groups. We're going to look at students' perceptions of climate. We're going to be looking at staff perceptions of climate, as well as community perceptions of climate within our schools. So to answer your question, it's kind of multifaceted, and I don't know that there's one pinpoint of an answer because yes, COVID definitely shook up things, and the separation caused lack of opportunities for social conflict and kids to kind of learn how to work through that. In general, our survey results, at least from the student perspective, have always been pretty positive in terms of feeling safe at school and feeling that their teachers respect and support them, in terms of feeling like if they have questions or they need help, that they have access to that. I think we still are seeing some impact from COVID. I think that it changed us, and for the better, for the worse, I'm not sure. And I think that's going to stay with us. It was a marker that's going to mark this generation for their entire career within school. But this new survey we're excited about because it is through Rutgers. They are going to do a lot of the aggregation of the data for us. And we can look more at subgroups. We can look more at stuff that we were kind of doing by hand can now be done very nicely. So yes, I again, similar to the response to you, it's a wait and see. Let's see once we administer, which should be, I think we're looking for November for our first administration.
Something that I found was kind of interesting. So I have these crazy spreadsheets, and I've been doing the climate survey, since the state first put it out, and I do a lot of analysis with these to look at the changes. It is tough because the students change every year, and sometimes we had a major administrative change in my building, and so there was definitely differences. But what was interesting to me, and it's something to keep in mind, I think, is right after COVID, we actually had a bubble on the climate surveys. The students were very appreciative to be back in. And so we had this warm and fuzzy, I mean, just, and I loved that. But then we do have to remember there's going to be a little bit of regression to the mean. And now, since then, it's been positive improvements. But it was really interesting. It made sense after I kind of analyzed it. But there was this really, really positive bubble of just getting back to that feel of community. So I always try and keep that in mind, because that's what I want to create as we continue to move forward.
May I just say two more things, and then I just, regarding the challenge day, for people who have not had, their 8th grader experience this yet, it is such an impactful, powerful experience, and I know we're having a lot of communication with Branchburg School District. I reached out to a friend last year who has a child in Branchburg, just saying, hey, when is your challenge day? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm wondering if this can be part of the discussion that we're having between school districts, just to share at, through our counseling and, mental health, because my daughter walked away from that experience a changed person. And I already thought that she had a big heart, but it was just like it just magnified it. So because they're merging in high school, I think it's such a powerful experience, and just something to continue, the dialogue and discussion. And then finally, just I've had parents approach about who have had some concerns about mental health support, for their child, and moving from tier 2 to tier 3 when things are getting really difficult. How are we monitoring and tracking, how students are doing? Because as you said, it affects performance in school and just being able to be mentally present and where your feet are. So I just wanted a few more specifics about that, and how we're handling that.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing, I agree about Challenge Day. I think that's a great idea. I think every 8th grade class should take that. Any of you can participate. If you want to come as a community rep and member, you are more than welcome to. Just email Dr. Schro or myself, and we'll make sure to get you a spot for this upcoming year when we do it. And in terms of tracking, so we have a significant population that requires mental health support. And not all of these kids are under the umbrella of special education or under the umbrella of 504. It is not unusual for a student to encounter some kind of mental health issue as they traverse their adolescence or even childhood. So we do take a lot of data. We track all of our assessments. We see how many kids we're seeing. This is how we kind of monitor how to divide up caseloads. We triage who sees who. So we have different levels of mental health teams. So we have our school counselors, and then we have what we call our non-traditional mental health professionals. So the more intensive students with more intensive or chronic or emergent needs would be going to one of our mental health professionals, whereas those that are struggling with, I don't want to say lesser because I don't want to minimize, but that are more acute or don't rise to a level where there may be a safety concern are seen by our amazing school counselors. There's a lot of collaboration and communication. We meet regularly. We make sure we're articulating about families, so that if there's a sibling that's going through something really, really difficult, or if there's something in a family that's struggling, we have a great relationship with the Somerville PD. We get notices called Handle with Care, so if there's an incident that happens, we're notified so that we can very gently and confidentially follow up to make sure that we're supporting. And at the end of the day, the teachers are really an amazing support, because they are so good at understanding. We share information that we can in order for them to best support students within the classroom, but the level of the lengths that they go to make sure that students are being accommodated. You don't need an IEP to have an accommodation. You need it for modifications. You don't need it to be accommodated. So I think just the general monitoring of the shift in recognizing and supporting, which really does come from the teachers on out, has been really nice for us to see and to work with.
Thank you for addressing that.
All right, I want to thank all of you for just your time tonight and the thoroughness of your report, and I think the importance of mental health to just students' well-being, to staff well-being, to really the community of itself, and just thank you for the work that you do ongoing. I know it's something that is very special, and it's something that you're all putting yourself out there every day that way. So thank you so much.
Can I just add one quick thing? The new Rutgers climate survey, would it be possible for the findings of that to be shared with the board?
So let's talk about that at another time. I think once that survey is done, they're going to have a lot of unpacking they have to do with that. And I think once the survey is understood better, then, it's something that we can invite people back later in the second half of the year to provide some highlights from that if we want to.
I didn't mean now. I
Yeah.
meant after they dissect it, of course, after you figure everything out.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, have a great night. I would encourage you, if you would like to scoot, please do so. I know you have an early morning, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Sure. Thank you, everyone, for presenting today. Really informative and helpful. 3 quick things. Curriculum audit progress, most of which will be covered during our reflection on our technology and curriculum instruction committee, so I don't want to be redundant. I'll fill in anything that isn't covered there, but it also is found in my newsletter, which will be coming out next week. Second, initial QSAC placement. In terms of this, I reported this after we had our QSAC review. We will and have to write a improvement plan, and that is for the area of governance. And if you recall, that circles back to January to March of 2023 in those areas in which we did not have a superintendent at the time, and we did not get the points for those areas. So the district improvement plan will reflect those. But as you can see, all the other areas, we did pass QSAC review and can move forward accordingly. And then the last component is the student safety data submission, which was submitted to the state and reported to the board. So just wanted to give you those quickly, but I know our committees have stuff to report, so I don't want to hold back on those.
Okay, thank you. So report board items and committee reports. Do we have a Finance, Security, and Buildings Grounds Committee meeting? I don't think we did, right?
We have one scheduled for the 28th.
Right, so there's no report there from a committee. All right, so thank you. And then moving on to Technology, Curriculum, Instruction Committee. So we have 2 committee reports there. So
We
Ms.
do.
Dale?
We do. I'm going to try to condense as much as I can. There's a lot of information. So we met on September 9th, and we met again on October 8th. So I'm just going to share kind of the highlights of what we discussed. So the first thing is that there was a lot of ESL curriculum that was passed for approval, some in last month's agenda and some in this month. So thank you to all who worked on that. Another important thing had to do with the math program in middle school. So I'm happy to announce that there is now an accelerated math pathway for students who need that that support or that programming, I guess. So previously, the accelerated math was in 8th grade, students would be put into algebra, in a sense losing the 8th grade curriculum. So now there'll be an accelerated math 6, which covers grade 6 and half of grade 7 standards, and an accelerated math 7, which covers the remaining 7th grade standards in all of 8th grade. So this is wonderful, and I really think will help prevent gaps. And also, just to point out that if a student starts in accelerated math 6, they can transition, into the regular program the following year, or vice versa. So it's not like you need to be the same for all of middle school. But I think that's wonderful for our math students in middle school. We did also discuss a 5-year curriculum cycle that was presented. So thank you to the curriculum department for that. Okay, there were some major upgrades to tech and STEM in grades 3 through 5. So they're going to be focusing on creativity, communication, and problem solving with digital and physical tools. Some of the topics are grade 3, stop motion animation, computer programming, and design thinking. Grade 4, Lego robotics, coding with AI concepts, design thinking. And grade 5, 3D worlds, computer programming, and design thinking. So I just want to point out how wonderful this is for our students, especially, hitting this at such young ages. And even with the AI, I think we're really on top of this in this district, and I'm very proud of it. So, let's see what else. So there was some PD on October 3rd, and from what we were told, it was a very successful day. There was an amazing keynote speaker, A.J. Giuliani. That was followed by 4 choice sessions. Some of them were mandated and some were choice. And what was really exciting was that Branchburg grades 6 through 9, the middle school, was able to come in for some of this, which was wonderful because I know we have not had that in our district in many, many years. So the teachers were very appreciative of that and hoping to do it again in the future. There is some early literacy mandated training going on. Preschool through grade 6 needs to be trained, and the preschool training has started already. And in November, they will start training the other grade levels during their common planning time and faculty meeting time and things like that. So Gifted and Talented program, there's been a lot of progress with this. So right now, kids in grades 2 who were tested in June are already being pulled for groups. And there is testing for in early December for grades 3, 4, and 5. So I'm not sure, I did discuss this once at meeting, right? Yes? Okay, so the way that it will work, where it previously, it was a child was entered into the Gifted and Talented program and they were in it or not in it. But in this new scenario, it's going to be per like session or per topic, depending on what their strengths are. So a student could be part of it for a session and then maybe not be in it for a few sessions or come back to it for a session, depending on where their specific strengths are. So that's really great, and it should involve a lot more kids into the program now rather than just a few. So there is a Literacy Leaders program, and that our teachers have volunteered to be part of this. And they met on September 30th to share data across the buildings, K through 12. And the ELA they're thinking to pilot a new ELA program, possibly if that's what the committee decides, in the 26-27 school year. So they will be discussing that further at further meetings this year. I believe that might be it. I'm not sure if anybody else who was at the meetings has anything else that they'd like to share. But thank you to Mary and to Ariel and to the rest of the curriculum department for 2 wonderful meetings and for all of your hard work with curriculum so far this year. We really had wonderful meetings, and I feel like we're going in a really great direction this year. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Policy Committee, Ms. Kraska?
We met last Wednesday. We went over the policies that were brought from Strauss. They're on the agenda for first reading, and they'll be on the website for the public to see. And next meeting we'll be voting them or adopting them.
Yep.
If people have questions. If people have questions, they can reach out to the superintendent.
And that's important to note that they will be on the public website, so anybody from the public, because that was a request that people have made, that people can access them, if they can have questions. And keep in mind, for members of the public, the next meeting will be the second read, and that's when we will formally adopt policies. So thank you for that. Ms. Van Horn, I think you had a couple
I do have
reports,
one.
Right?
Somerset County School Board Association met last Thursday. The evening started out as usual with a delicious dinner prepared and served by the VOTEC culinary arts students. Something new from NJSBA is a program called NJ Lead. It's an executive coaching for school leaders. It's a fee-based service offered to school board members, vice presidents, and presidents, either as individuals or as a group training. Another new program is Pathways to Leadership. This initiative is trying to engage more school board members to get involved in the committee work of NJSBA. The volunteer application is on the website. Roger Jinks, the Somerset County Executive Superintendent, demonstrated how AI can be of benefit to complete tasks in a more timely manner. He, after reading a wonderful address to us, admitted that AI had composed and completed the whole thing in 2 minutes using the parameters that he had entered instead of him spending an entire afternoon on his speech. when Thornton introduced the new Somerset Hunterdon County field rep for NJSBA. Her name is Kathy Perea. She invited all the newly elected board members to register for and attend the 3 Rs program run by NJSBA on November 17th, along with any sitting members to get everyone off to a good start. The main program of the evening was AI implementation and academic integrity, and an administrator-led conversation. And it was presented by some leaders from Franklin Township, Bridgewater, and Hillsborough school districts. The purpose was to explore how some of our local school districts are using AI responsibly to enhance learning while maintaining integrity. Districts are in very different places in dealing with AI, but a major focus for all seems to be on PD. What is AI? Getting teachers familiar with it, how it can handle administrative tasks, and setting up guidelines. It was stressed that authentic education and student-teacher interaction are integral in assuring academic integrity, and more work must be done in class, and work that is done out of class must be followed up with student interviews in order to maintain that academic integrity. The administrators all agree that policy cannot be set yet, that it can't be too specific due to the changing nature of AI, and start out just by establishing guidelines for the staff and students. The handouts that they did provide to us, I will forward to everyone on the board. Our next meeting is November 17th, and if anyone's free, feel free to join me at that meeting. The State School Board Association Delegate Assembly will meet in November.
Okay, great. Thank you for that update. Your penmanship is absolutely beautiful, and I guarantee you remember more of what you wrote than Mr. Jinks remembers about his speech. So, good for you. All right. Thank you for those reports. So we're going to move on to our consent agenda. Before we do that, I want to give Superintendent Labisco just an opportunity to give any explanation on certain agenda items that he would like to give an explanation on.
2 important items just to point out to everyone. Number 1, on 49, I'm making a recommendation for Karen Gabrook, who will be the assistant principal in Vanderveer as a leave replacement for us. She's a retired, experienced elementary principal with over 25 years of administrative experience from the Flemington School District. She comes highly recommended and will not only assist Ms. Feverett in her role of the leave replacement, but just years of wisdom to bring to the building. So we're looking forward to having her on board when that position is available.
What number did you say?
Unless, I do apologize.
I thought you said
51.
Just got
49. I
updated.
just wanted to make
51.
sure.
My
It's item
apologies.
51.
I had the old number. And they're both 51 then?
Yes.
And second one for number 51, and that is a recommendation of Miss Cruz Garcia. She is coming as a recommendation for a humanities supervisor with over 25 years of experience in education, over 10 years in administrative experience in humanities. So she is going to be an invaluable member of our team that comes highly recommended as well because of her experience in curriculum, in leadership, in mentoring, in coaching, and just her overall knowledge base. So very excited to make that recommendation as well.
Okay, great. Just pointing out also that we are approving the creation of the position of supervisor humanities and the job description, as well as approving the person that will be filling that, and also the finalized org chart for the district as well. Okay. All right, so Mr. Jess, can you make a motion for preschool 8th grade?
Yes, I'd like to move items 1 through 21, that they be approved under the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, and any appointments and salaries are contingent upon the verified documentation.
Okay, it's a second from Mr. Carlson. Any discussion? Okay, Mr. Boyce, could you do a roll, please?
Yes, Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Mrs. Sherwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Kraska.
Yes.
Mrs. Dale.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Okay, the motion is moved. Mr. Jeske, do 9th through 12th grade.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 22 through 69 under 9th through 12th grade and district-wide based upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools with appointments and salaries contingent upon verified documentation.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Van Horn, thank you. Any discussion?
I'd just like to make a comment that I think it's great that we're hiring the principal. I think that's fantastic, and also the supervisor of humanities. The only thing that I would ask is that when we go to approve people who are coming to be administrators in the district, that they actually come to the meeting to which they are being appointed, because it's nice for the public and for the board to see them as opposed to not knowing who they are.
Okay, thank you.
Just on number, can I just say something on number 29? I just think the MAPS program deserves a spotlight, and the fact that other districts are looking at it as a really valuable program for their students. The fact that we have someone coming in from the Manville School District and from speaking, with the superintendent regarding this, just the fact that it's not the first time this has happened. So I think it speaks volumes for the program.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, Mr. Boyce?
Mrs. Van Horn.
Yes.
Mr. Sergio.
Yes.
Mr. Jess.
Yes.
Mr. Carlson.
Yes.
Mrs. Sherwin.
Yes.
Mrs. Kraska.
Yes.
Mrs. Dale.
Yes.
Mr. Kimmick.
Yes.
Mr. Garcia.
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw.
Yes.
Okay, and the motion passes. Okay, moving on to old business. Are there any old business items board members would like to bring forth?
I just have one thing to say. It just says piggyback on what with Denise, it jogged a memory in my head. With talking about AI. Within curriculum, we've been talking about how the district is using AI with their grant, and we're like ahead of the curve. We're teaching students how to use AI correctly, not using it to do the work for them, and Ariel's been really spearheading that and doing a really lovely job, it seems.
And just to remind everybody from last year, that we had a grant that we applied for and that we were granted, that is an AI grant. So that has really helped us been able to teach the teachers and then in turn teach students how to use AI correctly.
Okay. Seeing no other comments for old business, is there a motion to close old business?
Move it.
Mr. Jess, is there a second? Mr. Carlson? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Old business is now closed. Are there any new business items from board members?
I'd like to say something. I just want to piggyback off of what Luke said before, and he mentioned the marching band and how wonderful they've been doing this season. I just wanted to point out that they have won every single competition that they have been to. They've been competing every single Saturday. I'm a new marching band mom. My daughter's part of it. I'm very, very proud. But I just wanted to give a shout out to all the students for all of their hard work and dedication, and also the staff who have helped them to get where they are today. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Ferguson, who's the director, Starlyn Lopez, Meg Major, Brianna Ferenzi, and Matt Lewis. And they will be at MetLife Stadium this weekend. So good luck to them, and hopefully they can keep their winning streak up. And also, our home show was the other day, and I just want to thank Mr. Foley for coming and supporting the students that day. Thank you.
Any other new business items? Okay, thank you for that. And okay, is there a motion to close new business? Mr. Jess, second. Mr. Carlson, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? What did Luke say?
He said aye.
Okay. Thanks, Luke. All right. As a former marching band parent, I understand
Enthusiasm.
your enthusiasm for that, yes.
Lots
All
of
right.
Somerville pride this
Yeah,
past week.
there is. Okay, that brings us to adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Carlson, second.
Second.
Ms. Sherwin? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? We are adjourned at 7:56. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. Bye, Luke.
Thanks, sir.